August Creswell School Board meeting, and we have a quorum. And also, could you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. Well, hey, glad to see you all back. I hope everybody's had a great summer. If anybody out there has any comments for the school board, please send us an email and we will answer them all. Appreciate it if you could just send them to the school board address. Okay, Mike, you want to lead the swearing in process?
Yeah, Tim, are you there?
Yeah,
yes.
He's here somewhere. There he is.
Tim Rogers, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? Please state your name.
I, Timothy Michael Rogers,
Do so solemnly swear or affirm
do so solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Oregon
and the state of Oregon
and the policies of Creswell School District.
and the policies of Creswell School District.
During my term,
I
will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of school board member
to
to the best of my ability. Welcome to the school board, Tim Rogers.
Yay, Tim, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
So Mike,
Yeah.
Mike, Superintendent Mike. You need to swear in Mike Anderson and Lacey also because they were reelected.
Great.
But you can do them together if you want.
Mike Anderson and Lacey Risdall, please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Can you do it in short bursts, please?
Yes. I, and state your name,
I,
I, Lacey Risdall,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of Oregon
and the state of Oregon
and the policies of Creswell School District.
and the policies of the Creswell School District.
During my term, I will faithfully and impartially discharge duties of school board member to the best of my ability.
Duties of school board members to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. You're back on the school.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Mike. We need to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I second.
Okay, we got a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that passes. Thank you very, very much. Okay, election of officers. Do we have any nominations for chair?
I would like to nominate Lacey Risdall.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, we've got a movement and second. Anybody else? Any other names? Okay, if not, that's closed. All those in favor of Lacey being chair next year, please raise your hand. All righty. Congratulations, Lacey.
Thank you.
And motions are open for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Ashley Miller.
All righty.
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a nomination and a second. Any other names out there? Okay, if not, nominations are closed. All those in favor of Ashley as vice chair, please raise your hand. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Okay, Lacey, you've got the hammer.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve.
I move that we can approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Great. All those in favor, raise your right hand or any hand. Thank you. I think that's unanimous that it passed. Great, moving on. Special presentations. Mike, do you want to introduce some new folks to your team?
I do. I'm going to introduce our newest member to the team, and then we'll go maybe around the horn, and each of them can reintroduce themselves to you, the school board, or introduce for the first time themselves to the school board. I'd like to inform you that we've hired a communications and community engagement coordinator, Julie Ward. Julie Ward is with us tonight. She'll pop on here in a minute, but I wanted to give you a little background information on her. Her professional experience is that she comes to us from the University of Oregon, and she was a development program assistant there for their department in fundraising and working with U of O donors through quality stewardship and engagement. So that was her assignment there. She was there for 9 years. Prior to that, she was a community relations executive at NASA Incorporated, and she was a business systems analyst for Metropolitan Mortgage and Securities in Spokane, Washington. She has other professional experiences, but those kind of highlight why we looked at Julie and really wanted to see more about her and bring her, and we're excited to bring her on board. As far as her education goes, she has a BA in business administration and business leadership from the University of Puget Sound, where she minored in economics, and she was awarded Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society. She was top 5% in her class in graduation, and she was a C1 Merit Scholar. And so without further ado, Julie, would you like to say hi to the Creswell School Board, please?
I would love to. I said, I'm just completing my first week and I'm so excited to join the team. As Mike mentioned, for the past 9 years, I've been working to highlight the stories of scholarships and student success at the U of O. But I was raised in a small community in Eastern Washington on a wheat and cattle ranch. So I am excited to be joining and coming back to K-12. I had 2 kids go through 4J school system, and I'm so excited to highlight the successes of the community's kids and the hard work and the accomplishments of the teachers and staff here at Creswell. So I'm really looking forward to learning from each of you what makes you proud about the Creswell School District and getting integrated in the community. So thank you all. Everyone's has given such a warm welcome, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about the work that everyone is doing. So thank you for having me.
And welcome to the district and welcome to Creswell.
I think we can just kind of go around the horn with our administrators. Mike Johnson, Superintendent, thank you for allowing me to be here and serve this community. Next up, I see Amy Aguero is in the house.
I'm here. Hello, Amy Aguero, Director of Student Services. Tim, welcome to our school board, and nice to see your face as everyone else.
And
Amy, I saw your daughter pop in just a minute ago. She's welcome to stay if she wants.
You just had to see the face on the screen, but she's good.
I'm sure. I saw.
Amy Halley.
Hello, everybody. Amy Halley, principal at Crest Lane Elementary. I'm really excited to start my 3rd year at Creswell. Seems like 10 years and also a year all in one. A lot of craziness with COVID, but I'm excited for another year and to get back into it.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about your new assistant principal?
Yes. So Summer Martin is going to be our assistant principal at the elementary school this year. She's not with us tonight. Last year, she joined us as a school improvement specialist and came in and really helped work on our tier 2 systems for instruction and did a fabulous job of getting some things in place that will be rolling out this next school year for interventions for both reading and math. And previous to that, she was a special ed teacher.
Thank you. Jenny.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's kind of fun here at school already because we have a volleyball camp going on. So it's great to see kids on campus and get to hear them playing and having fun. There was some sort of dance off tonight. I should have snuck in and taken some secret pictures. I don't know. But anyway, I'm excited about that. Excited to be jumping into my 2nd year / 1st year of being at Creswell High School. I'm going to call it my 1st year with students in person. So that will be awesome. And hey, Julie, welcome. Go Loggers. I also am UPS.
And for Tim, Jenny is our high school principal, by the way.
Oh, sorry, Tim.
Brandon, keep it with the team.
Brandon Standridge, high school principal, district athletic director. Super excited. We got, Jenny said, a volleyball camp. Fall practice starts on Monday. So we're looking at 35 football players. We have almost 40 volleyball players, 30 boys soccer players. So getting a lot of people out and about and getting active. And we'll have our first contest here in a couple weeks before school starts.
And thank you, Brandon. The one in the middle, Julie Johansson.
Hi, I'm super excited to be going into my 2nd year at Creswell Middle School. And I know our newest school board member because you stole him from my school site council. He's amazing. So you've got a good one. So I will be filling that spot. And I'm just looking forward to a great year. And we've been doing some wonderful things district-wide this summer as far as our summer enrichment. I've been blessed to be kind of a part of that most of the summer. And I'm just really impressed with the staff and the programs that are happening. And the admin team as a whole just did a great job pulling that together and providing a quality program to kids in the community. So woot woot to us.
Woot woot to you all. Chanel.
Hi, nice to see you guys all again. I'm Chanel Green, the business manager here at the district office, and I'm getting ready to start my 8th month. So here we go.
And that will do it for the introductions of our A team.
We need Joel.
Oh, well, Joel, of course, Joel, but Joel, let them know it. Give yourself a shout there.
Yeah, with that.
Joel's a team unto himself.
That's true.
Joel is a team unto himself.
Joel, I can give you a woot woot too. Don't worry.
I'm part of the old guard. I was just trying to do the calculations. I don't know if it's 23 or 24 years I'm starting with the school district, and I'm really excited about it. I see a lot of familiar faces. Tim, you've been on the board before. It's good to see you back on the board, and we have some really good experienced people on the board, and it's good. I feel good about this year, and I'm really excited. And we have a lot of stuff that's been going on. You saw that in my board report. I'll have even more information to share in September, but excited about what we got going on. The future's bright and onward and upward.
And I know almost all of us are familiar with Marilyn, but would you please introduce yourself, Marilyn, since we do have a couple of the engineers on that may be wondering your role?
I'm Marilyn Cruzan, and I'm the superintendent and board secretary. And This will start my 34th year. So, hi, everybody. Hope you had a great summer, and it's nice to see everyone.
And how many superintendents, Marilyn?
Oh, you're number 9.
Number 9. Lucky number 9. Look
That's
at
right. Lucky number 9.
Oh, geez.
Yep. Thank you, Marilyn.
Yes, thank you.
All right. I think if we're done with district team introductions, do we want to move on to the seismic improvement presentation, Mike?
Are you asking this, Mike, me?
Yes, yes.
Sure.
Super Mike.
Yes, I'll let Joel, our A-team member there, speak out about what's going on with this presentation. Take the lead, Joel.
You bet. Thank you. So we have tonight Chris with ZCS Engineering and Architect. I'll let Chris introduce himself and go into his role, but we have a really good, he's going to give us a good rundown of where we're at with the seismic retrofit that's coming and the work that's been going on, a lot of the work that's been happening. There's a lot of work that's been going on, and you guys are playing a big part of that tonight with the hearing and with the resolution that hopefully will be passed. So I'm really excited about that. One thing, and Chris is going to mention about the schedule, but I will share that as luck would have it, the strange circumstances that they are, we postponed our original schedule. We had originally scheduled to start the work this summer, but as things happened, we postponed it to next summer. Well, what's interesting is if we had stayed to that original schedule, we would have been up against labor shortage and a supply chain issues and a huge amounts of cost. You guys know that I wear a couple different hats in the community on the fire district side of things. We're looking at building a fire station. A year ago, we were looking at $300 a square foot. We're now looking at $800 a square foot for a fire station. So it is incredible what happened in a year when it comes to building. So in the strange circumstances that they were delaying or postponing that 1 year and starting our construction next summer may have actually maybe ended up saving us some time and labor and money. But with that, Chris, please take the ropes.
Thank you. Yeah, that's some really good points there. My name is Chris Tonning with ZCS Engineering and Architecture. We specialize really in a lot of schools and emergency services, doing seismic retrofits. That's kind of our bread and butter. So just to kind of give you an overview of where things are at, I'm not sure how much information you've received to date, but basically we've been working with the district for a couple of years now, actually. First, doing a seismic evaluation of some of the facilities in the district, then moving on to doing an application for a seismic grant from the state, and that was awarded last year. So we are working on this seismic retrofit right now. We started about 6-7 months ago. It's for a portion of Crest Lane Elementary School. It's the cafeteria portion of the building, as well as the two oldest classroom wings. And part of included in the scope is also the space that's used by the district office currently. So that's kind of the limit of the seismic retrofit. And just to give you guys just a brief overview of what we're thinking and what we're planning on doing there is essentially, it's primarily a seismic project, strengthening of the building there. So what we're looking at doing is taking out some of the windows and putting up new shear walls, using plywood, and then there's some windows in the hallways too that will be affected by that. In addition to that, we're looking at putting new plywood sheathing on the roof and replacing the roofs as part of that effort. There's more details in how that actually comes together, but essentially that's kind of the quick summary of that. In terms of schedule, like Joel was mentioning, we've started the design. We're essentially in what we call schematic design right now, which just kind of is putting together plans of what we're proposing to do. And we have had a geotechnical investigation conducted already to figure out if there's soil issues, which it turns out there's nothing concerning. So that's a good thing. The plan is to start construction in basically complete the construction over the summer. So it'll be, tentatively what we're planning on doing, starting in June as soon as the kids are out, and then have it wrapped up in September in time for school to start. So that's kind of where we're at right now. The big thing that we're talking about today, which was the purpose of the public hearing and the resolution that you'll be looking at in a few minutes, has to do with the procurement of contractor. So the next step that we're suggesting and hoping that you guys will consider is hiring a contractor. You guys might think that it's kind of early to be hiring a contractor because the design's not done yet. What we are proposing to do is what's considered an alternate procurement method. Normally, per the state law, for a public agency or for public work like this, it has to go through a competitive bid process. But this particular type of work is very specialized. It's something that you want to have a lot of control over when it comes to hiring a contractor to do this work. So the state, the ORS allows for what's called an alternate procurement method for something called CMGC, which is Construction Manager General Contractor. It's a kind of just a different way of hiring a contractor, in which the contractor gets hired early on in the design process and becomes a team member and can really help with a lot of things during design. Those things could be things like cost estimating. It could be doing some destructive investigations to figure out how this building was originally put together. And they also help with actually reviewing the design drawings and coming up with ideas of doing things more efficiently, more cost effectively. And so in our experience, it's been a really good process. Part of the package that you guys received prior to this meeting should have included the findings of fact document, which is required to do this alternate method. You basically have to state reasons why this is superior, or why this is a better way of going about it than doing the traditional bid, hard bid route. And so there's 14 reasons listed there, and we don't necessarily need to go through all those right now, but just to highlight a few, really, when it comes down to this type of work, it's very important that we hire the right contractor. And if it's purely lowest bid, you could end up with pretty much anyone. So by going through this CMGC process, the district will have a lot more influence, or a lot more of an ability to pick the contractor that's best suited for the project. So it's based on qualifications and experience rather than just lowest bid. As you can imagine, for something like this, where it's an existing building, there's unknown conditions there. It's very specialized, so you want to have someone who's have a lot of experience doing seismic retrofits to do the work. And there's a number of other reasons listed in that document, 14 in total there, that really explain why this is really the best way to do it. The biggest thing might be the line item that talks about cost control, because when we have the CMGC on board early on, they will be developing cost estimates, and in the end, that'll help us to actually produce a project that's on budget, because that's always very important for us when it comes to these projects. Is the district should not have to spend any money of their own. This is a grant funded by the state of Oregon, and the goal of the project is always to maintain that budget and keep it under that grant amount, so that all the funding comes from the grant that was awarded. I think with that, I'd like to see if there's any questions or any more information that you'd like on any of the stuff that we just talked about. If not, we'll just hand it back to Joel.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And I was going to add for you guys as a board, as we start moving in these further in, we're going to need your help more than just tonight. For example, the next piece of the puzzle will be an RFP. And I wouldn't mind having some board members a part of that RFP process. We can talk more about that, because we have to get the resolution first. But also moving ahead further down, when we're talking about the work that the Seismic Project is going to do, there's some fun components that can happen. So part of the design could include the idea of, well, if some of the work involves outside walls, then we can look at, okay, we need to repaint this wall now, this exterior wall. I say that with a bit of a pause because we know that that old section of the elementary, practically the whole elementary school, needs a new paint job. So it's possible that there's some elements that the seismic grant can help with, and perhaps other areas could help funding wise to bring in, you know, painting the building, getting a new paint job to it. So that's a decision. What color do we paint the new building? That's a fun decision. And then some improvements to the hallways. When you're replacing and shoring up walls, now you have an opportunity to, like, okay, these wires were exposed originally, but now we're putting a wall here. Maybe these walls can go inside of a casing or something, or maybe, you know, those are all things that we can come back and talk with folks and stakeholders, teachers and parents and stuff like that. But I guess what I'm going to end with is, as look for in my board report, a continued information. This will be a added item or a continued item in my board report, and reporting to you guys information about this. In some months it might be light, and other months it might be a full page, if you will, of information I want to make sure you guys are hearing and understanding and knowing, and keeping you guys in the loop and our public in the loop. Thank you.
So Joel, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. With ZCS Engineering, they're going to be with us through the whole process, right? And serving as our expert. So they'll help be writing the qualifications and those. Okay. All right. That's fantastic. Yes. So welcome aboard to Creswell. We so appreciate you helping us with this. And we're excited to get our elementary school fixed.
Yes. It's a very exciting project. And like Joel mentioned, the benefit from doing this. So when we're doing a seismic retrofit, technically what we're doing is fixing the deficiencies and then putting everything back the way it was. Now there is some leeway in that, you know, when we're putting stuff back, we can make some minor updates on what's there. And so what gets replaced, it gets replaced with new finishes and that kind of stuff. So it does give it a little bit of a facelift, and that's always exciting. So looking forward to really diving into it.
So I guess another question overall, I don't mean this detail wise, but when you dig into an old building, when you put it back, you have to put it back to updated standards, right? So it's not putting it back to old standards.
Yeah, so when I'm saying, so when I'm talking about put back, I'm talking mostly about finishes. Which is, there's not really a code standard for that necessarily. The real work that's being done is stuff that you might not actually end up seeing in the end, because it's structural components that gets added in, and they will be up to current standards, but they get covered up typically, so you don't necessarily see those. Like I mentioned, and this is really just a kind of a schematic approach, but right now we're proposing to take out some windows, and I know sometimes there's some controversy about that because it means, you know, potentially less daylight, less visibility, that kind of stuff. There are other approaches that we could also look at, other options. It's just the most cost-effective way is to basically take out a little bit. We're not talking about a huge amount of window that we're taking out, but the problem right now is obviously that entire building, those classroom wings, they're all windows, and even in the corridors they have all windows. And as I'm sure you guys know, that windows don't really have a lot of structural strength for resisting earthquakes, so we'll definitely have to do something there.
The other thing I was going to add, and that the piece you just said there is good, is that for Creswell, the community of Creswell, our schools are really, and you see this happening in Oak Ridge and Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill right now is a Red Cross shelter for the folks from Oak Ridge. We could easily become that as well. And so they look at schools for those places. And so we want to be able to offer that opportunity. And this seismic grant is going to make that end of the elementary school, the cafeteria, those spaces safe if we ever had a big event occur, earthquake, wildfire, whatever. We have a place our community can go to for safety, and that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. So for me, safety is a big deal. So that's a kind of a component that I look forward to down the road, is shoring up the walls and shoring up our buildings in a way that serves our students, our staff, and our community.
Yeah, Mark.
So I hope this isn't a foolish question. I assume that when we do seismic upgrades to a certain portion of the building, that when it is reconstructed, it's brought up to current building codes. Is that correct?
Yes and no. It's brought up to a standard that's determined by current code, but really current code for new buildings and current code for existing buildings are a little bit different. So it will be performing at a level that is comparable, I guess you could say, to new buildings, although it might not be quite to the exact same level. One thing that, as Joel mentioned, one thing that we are looking at for this building is that specifically the cafeteria, because it is an assembly space, will be designed to a higher standard. So what we call immediate occupancy, which means it can be used immediately after an earthquake. Whereas most school buildings, classroom wings and that kind of stuff is designed to what's called life safety, which is really just intended to allow for people to evacuate and get out of the building in an earthquake and not reoccupy the space. But specifically for the gathering spaces for the cafeteria, that is something that is intended to be able to be used as a shelter after the fact.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Why don't we move on to our new business item? It's related to this conversation. We have a resolution that we need to pass. So I think I need a motion on the table to discuss or ask questions.
I move that we discuss resolution 2122-01 and entertain any questions and or comments.
I have a second.
I second.
And Mark, can I ask a clarification? I didn't mean to confuse in my introduction to this topic. We want to be able to adopt the resolution. I was trying to clarify that in order to have a discussion if people had questions about the resolution, that I needed a motion. So is your motion to actually adopt the resolution? Because I think your words were, I move that we discuss.
Yes, they were, because that's what I understood that you wanted. But
I know, I'm sorry.
I've read through it. No, that's all right. I've read through it. I am somewhat familiar with these types of resolutions. So if we want to move to pass this resolution, then I would enter a motion to pass resolution 2122-01.
Okay, great. Ashley, do you still second that motion? It's amended. I think you were the one that seconded the first one.
Yeah,
okay.
I think I got it. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now that we have a motion to adopt the resolution, do we have any discussion or questions about the resolution? Yeah, Candace.
I have a question. So what if we were to not adopt this resolution tonight, what would our other options be?
I can speak to that. So if you don't adopt this, then you would basically forego this alternate procurement method using the CMGC process. So essentially what would happen then, and that it happens, I would say maybe 5 to 10% of the time we'll do this, where we would just continue the design on our own and complete the design package. So the complete package of design documents, drawings and specifications. And then we would put together similar to the RFP that would go out for a CMGC. So RFP would be a request for proposal. So essentially we would just basically go out to bid. So we would go directly out to bid and get hard bid proposals from contractors.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then you would be required to basically take the lowest bidder.
Right, and I would share that we do have in the bullpen, if you will, an RFP ready to go out to, so an RFP would be going out if this resolution passes. We have an RFP in place that would go out as early as posted for Friday to get that CSUG, sorry, I'm not saying it right, contractor on board. So there's still an RFP process involved. It's just that we're doing it sooner than the back end.
And if I understand correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if we adopt this and we start this RFP process now, then we're able to select a contractor based on qualifications. Whereas if we wait and we go the secondary process, or I should say that's the primary process, right? This would be the secondary process. Then we're required to go with the lowest bidder regardless of qualifications.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's 100% right. And the only other piece would be is that by having that contractor on now, we have his or hers skill set to help us with pricing and help us with some decision making when we wouldn't have that if we waited down the road.
Okay, thank you both. I appreciate the clarification.
Good question.
Other questions? All right, then we have a motion to adopt the resolution. All in favor, raise your right hand, or any hand. I don't know why I keep saying right hand. Okay, I think we have a unanimous vote. Thank you. All right, next action item for us is to approve a list of compensated committees for the school district. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the list of compensated committees as attached in the agenda.
I'll second that.
Any questions about the committees? I actually have one. I didn't see the middle school site council on that. Is that because they meet during school hours?
They have in the past, yeah.
Okay.
But if Julie, if they want to go a different direction, then we can amend the compensated committees at a later date.
Sounds good.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? All right, all in favor, raise a hand. Great, we have a unanimous vote on that as well. And I just wanted to mention, Chris, thank you for joining us. If you want to get about your evening with your family, feel free to leave. We won't take offense, or you can hang out with us and do school board business if you'd like.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, discussion on board training. So there's 3 items that we wanted to just chat about and get some feedback. So the first item, number A, is the operating agreement. Those of us on the board last spring, we went through a work session with Steve Kelly where we updated our operating agreement that discusses roles and responsibilities between us and the superintendent. Since we have a new board member on, I thought it could be good for us to do a brief refresh and get us all on the same page on roles and responsibilities. And then I'll pair that with the second one, B, because if we have OSBA come in and do a training on board evaluation, we could package those. So we can do them separately or package items together. So that's why I just mentioned it with board evaluation stuff. So I would like to get feedback or interest on people having a refresh. Doesn't have to be, a full 2-hour session, but a refresh where we can all take another look at the operating agreement, give Tim a chance to ask questions, and make sure we're all on the same page. So just looking for guidance. I'm seeing a few head nods, thumbs up, that sounds like a good idea.
Yes. And
Okay.
as far as packaging them together, if that's going to be more cost effective for the school district, I'm all for that as well.
Yeah, I was hoping that could work out that way. So we'll look. The second is the board evaluation. So each at the end of each school year in the past, we've sent out an evaluation form, both for us to fill out and for individuals on this call with us that interact with us to give us feedback on areas that we can improve. And so we've completed the evaluations in the past. Where I typically get hung up is I struggle with our inability or lack of action plans. Like, how do we as an overall board really use that information? So I'm to the point where I don't want to ask if we're not going to actually use the information to do something. So each year I tend to try to find something in there for myself that I know I need to improve on, and I make small incremental, but I don't feel like I'm participating in a bigger board improvement effort. And so that's my question is there interest in doing a board evaluation, and is there interest in having OSBA, for instance, come down and talk with us about how do we move forward on an improvement plan for the board?
Yes.
Or action items that we need to do. Okay.
I would love that. In fact, I would rather do that over operating agreement if we have to pick, or if we have to adjust times. I think that could be more beneficial.
I agree with Candace.
Debbie, what are your thoughts? Oh, sorry.
I agree with Candace and Ashley. I think that we would definitely benefit more from the board evaluation than the operating agreement. So if we had to lean one way, that's what I would do as well.
I'm the same way. I agree with everybody. And I talked to Vince Adams, and he's going to let me know which Wednesday in September he can get back to us and give us a class, and it'll all be Zoom. He can't leave his house yet. They won't let him in the office yet. So, but he'll be available. He just hasn't told me. We wanted to wait till we make sure we were all on the same page, and then he would try to pick us out a time.
Tim, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've seen the operating agreement, and it doesn't seem dissimilar to the one that we had when I was on the board before. So spending time on making use of feedback from a board review, I think makes sense.
Okay, all right. So Mike's through a variety of other conversations around trainings and what OSBA has coming out. Mike Anderson had mentioned he's talked with Vincent and said, hold something for us just in case. We'll connect with him or I'll connect with him and provide a little bit more of an overview. So what I'm hearing is we definitely want to learn what should we do in terms of a board evaluation first, a survey, feedback, and then after we get the feedback, how do we move forward on action steps? So that kind of piece. And then if there is time in there, leave even just 15 or 20 minutes open for questions, and in case folks have any questions with a second look on the operating agreement, we'll do that second. Okay. All right. That seems clear. I will connect with them, and you'll hear dates and stuff coming out for that when we know. Okay. Thank you for that feedback. Oh, and then Marilyn also sent us an email about the annual convention. So it is both in-person and virtual. In-person is limited to 400. She'll do the registration for us. And Marilyn, did you need us to tell you, are we in person? Are we virtual? Deadlines on that? What do you need from us to help you do the registration?
Well, registration started the 9th, so they're really early this year. If anyone wants a hotel room, that's going to open up on the 14th. So as soon as you can let me know, I'll go right ahead and register folks. But since it's 400, I don't know if there's going to be anything in person left.
Is there anybody interested in going up to Portland and attending in person?
It's going to be in Salem this year.
Oh, in Salem. Thank you for that.
Yes, at the convention center there. So it's a smaller venue than Portland. So.
Okay, I'm seeing head nods. I think we're all wanting to do virtual. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, all right, well, that makes that easy. And way cheaper for the district, so that's fantastic.
Yes, very much so. All right. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, we'll move on to reports. Trustee reports. Mike, you want to go first?
I
You usually
can.
call on us, so now I'm calling on you.
Oh, gee, I don't want to be first. It's been summer. I really haven't done much. I've been spending a lot of time over in Malawi on a new business project I've got going. So I haven't really done anything other than one leadership meeting. Looking forward to getting this year going. And anxious to sort of get back to normal, whatever that's going to be. It'd be nice to see kids in school again and all that. But now I've really been spending a lot of time working. I'm used to 1 hour a day, and this full days, 5 days a week is getting to me, but I'll survive. But that's about it.
We did meet at the airport.
At the airport.
Yeah, we had a meeting at the Creswell airport.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, you want me to talk about that a little bit, or?
Sure.
I'm on the airport commission. I forgot about that. I'm on the airport commission, and I met a guy that's a fixed wing helicopter and drone pilot instructor that's taught at, I think, what is South Dakota State, and at a college level and a JC school level. And Mike and I went out and met with him, and he's really interested in maybe helping us get something going in flight technology at the high school. And he's going to make us a proposal and see if he can't help. And the guy has worked all over the world. And his comment, which I thought was really cool, that he would want to work with the kids to teach them how to fly like a drone, not only teach them how to fly, but how to apply the technology that you can gain with the drone, teach them what it's for and how to use it, not just to get it in the air and take pictures, but how to use what you're doing. And I think that's really great. We've got a hangar at the airport if we ever want to use it. And I think this guy might be a really good guy to help us get that program started. But has he came back to you, Mike?
No, I haven't heard from him yet, but we got to give him a little time. That's quite a proposal he needs to write to present to me. So,
yeah, well, he's going to be gone for a little bit, but yeah, I'm really excited about that because that could be a big boost for that program.
He still works around the world.
Oh yeah,
he has been and he still is. Lots of knowledge there.
Yeah, he was using his drones to find poachers in Africa, guys that go out and shoot animals in Africa without a license, and there's really several cool projects he was talking about where he really applies all this stuff that the kids would learn. And I think that would be great for them.
A lot of geographical and environmental surveying with those drones and reports and data that he pulls from all of that information to provide guidance for whatever industry is interested in his work. He's really, really out there. He's a very intelligent person and knows, is quite familiar with a plethora of careers that would interest our kids. So I'm looking forward to hearing from him.
Yeah, I'll probably be talking to him next week, Mike. I won't call him this week, but I'll give him a call next week because he promised he'd take a young guy I know that wants to learn how to fly helicopters. He'd take him for a ride. So when I talk to him, I'll ask him about the proposal and see what he's got.
Okay.
But anyway, that's about it.
Debbie.
I took notes on what I did because I couldn't remember what I did. It's been 2 months. I was like, so I don't think we've met since graduation. So I went to graduation, which we dodged the rain at graduation, which was exciting. And I also went to 8th grade promotion where it was very, very warm. So we had that opposite ends of the spectrum there. The other things I've been working on are booster work. working with Brandon to get a couple new things for the school and getting concessions ready because we haven't been in some of the buildings in a long, long time. So, and then I had a one-on-one with Mike. That's about it.
Fantastic. Ashley.
I also got to hand out diplomas at graduation. It was my first time, so it was very fun and exciting. Last night, I actually attended the OSBA webinar. Colt Gill did a presentation on the back to school guidance framework for the upcoming school year. I attended the National Night Out in Creswell last week, and I also had a one-on-one with Mike Johnson.
Candace, do you have anything to report?
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I apologize. I was actually looking at my list because I too made my notes this time. So I also got to attend graduation, which is always great. And there's a lot of kids near and dear to our heart that graduated this year. That was great to see. I've been holding softball practices weekly-ish over the summer. So it's great to spend time with the kids and get out there. And it was hot a couple days. So that was nice. I've been watching and helping keep 7-on-7 football games hydrated, bringing lots of water for kiddos out there. I also had my one-on-one with Mike a couple weeks ago, and I've slowly been working on my silver certification. Is that what it's called? For board, working on some of the legislative advocacy offerings through OSBA. That's it.
Tim, do you have anything to report on or chat about what you've been doing over the summer?
Well, I only officially started as of July 1, but I have two items. One is on Monday, I did a one-on-one with our number 9 superintendent. And last night, like Ashley, I attended the webinar with Colt Gill and the OHA representative on the Delta variant and masks.
Mark?
Yeah, so I too went to graduation this June. I was also at graduation last June, and I have to say the one we had this June was far and above better. It was fun to hand out diplomas. It's fun to see the deer in the headlight look when they come across the stage. That was awesome. I also helped Sergeant Denham at the National Night Out. That was cool. And then I think I had a meeting with Superintendent Johnson, but I can't remember back that. No, it was actually this morning. I met with Superintendent Johnson. So that's about it.
Thank you. All right, why don't we move on to our technology and facilities reports? Do we have any questions for Joel?
Hey, didn't I meet with you, Lacey?
Yeah, I guess I didn't report out, did I? So I was absent from a lot of June stuff with my father's passing. So I'm glad all the graduation stuff went well. Had a few meetings with Mike, leadership related. And so, yeah, I was not able to attend the webinar last night. I was actually giving a presentation to a different advisory committee for my day job. So, but I did see the email today that it was recorded. So those of us that missed it last night, if we want to pick up that webinar, we can watch it sometime during the week. So that is fantastic. All right. Okay. Joel, back to Joel. Any questions for Joel? Joel, I appreciate you putting in the comments around the cybersecurity. As we watched this past whole year, it seemed like, and then especially this summer tick up with a lot of the cyber attacks and shutting systems down. I appreciate knowing that we're working with Lane ESD and others to make sure that we just don't have to stop school because our systems don't work, you know?
Right. No, exactly. And we we have a hodgepodge of systems we use, and so our plans are adaptable to those various components, if you will. I mean, the financial system is different than the the student information system, for example. So they're going to have two different ways of approaching how we would, counter a cyber attack with that. So, thank you for noticing that.
I have a question, and Joel is going to know what my questions are about, I'm sure, because we've been talking a lot more lately. So I appreciate everything I've seen in the board report about getting a lot of our facilities up and running. My question is around long-term strategy, and it's not necessarily for you to answer today as much as thoughts or interests on what is our long-term strategy on preparing over the summers and or our off seasons to get all of our facilities updated.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of my goals in reporting some of the facility improvements that we're doing was to use the fund and for landscaping to plant a seed. I wanted to plant a seed, to have that conversation, to start that thought process behind, because we do have a lot of things going on in our facilities and a lot of things. Sorry, my clock's telling me it's time to go. Anyway, we do have a lot of things that we need to start looking at addressing: the turf field at the middle school, the football field at the high school. We do have work that's going on now that's going to help us band-aid and patch and get us through this season. And the work we're going to be doing in the fall will get us through the coming baseball, softball season this spring. I'm confident and comfortable in saying that, but your statement about long-term is valid, because long-term for me is 3 years out, 5 years out, or even next season when it comes to the turf field at the middle school. So, I don't have answers for that, but I would say I appreciate you bringing it up, and that was kind of my goal in having it in the report, because we do need to start talking about those things. And Mike and I have been talking a lot, and we have a lot of ideas going through. But I just wanted to. I'm glad the conversation's happening.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Joel.
So there.
I had a quick. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Candace, to your question, Joel and I will have several meetings over the next few weeks. I also have other committees and folks that I'm meeting with out there beyond our community, and about what we're going to be doing or developing a plan for improving our facilities district-wide, our outdoor facilities. So we'll have some information coming out by, I believe, September 15th. Julie and I will be working on that. Chanel's coming on board with that committee as well. So we're very excited about putting a plan together. And that plan goes into effect immediately. So that by next summer, projects will have already been completed, and the bigger projects will be on the horizon for the next summer.
Great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
I just had a quick question. I saw Sergeant Denham yesterday, and he mentioned that we're doing some stuff to the Crest Lane parking lot, and that wasn't in the report. I was just curious, is that happening now, or has that happened at the end of the year?
No, it is happening now, and I should have put that in my report, and I apologize for that, but I'll have that in the, so our next board meeting happens to be the first day of school. So I guess my information that I'll share on that will be timely, but what we'll be doing for the parking lot is going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. We're doing and Amy Halley, the principal for the building, has done a really great job starting the conversation with her community and her parents last spring, actually. And a lot of the work that we started involved how we have our buses dropping students off on the east side of the property. We're going to continue that. And that was kind of the first piece of a puzzle. And Amy, feel free to chime in if you have some information to share there. But the point is that there are a lot of gears in motion. And yes, that work is going to happen so that day one for school start, the parking lot will have a different flow of traffic. And our goal is, of course, to be having a safe flow and an efficient flow to get students safely from their cars into the building. I don't know, Amy, did you have anything to add to that? I didn't know if. we had a parent meeting way back in the spring, and we'll probably, I'm thinking we'll probably want to do another one perhaps in the early fall to talk about, just information share. So thank you for asking about that, Debbie.
We will be sending out a parent information letter and also informing our community members that are adjoining to our property of what our plans are, so that they're prepared for what's coming in 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks. I'll be sure to include those communications in my board report next month, so you'll see what was communicated out. But some of that stuff you may actually see as it's happening as well, so you might get it, double take on it as it's happening, and then later on in my board report will reflect what was shared with our neighbors and our community.
Mark, did you have a question?
Yeah, for Joel, does the district have or have access to some sort of a watering wagon? The reason I ask is I quite often ride my bicycle on our new bus route, and if we had some water access, I think it might mitigate some of the dust, which might mitigate some of the neighbor concerns, but it also helps, as you well know, it helps in the compaction, helps keep the gravel compacted down. So I don't know if we have that or if we have access to that.
No, that's actually a really good point, and I have that in the works. Right now, our summer school stuff is slowly winding down, so our bus activity on that road is slowed down. We did have more activity on our I mentioned that in my board report. Obviously, the transportation was a busy summer, but in the fall, you still have dry months. And so your point, Mark, is well made. And I'm putting in some provisions and my thoughts on that, because I don't want that dust. I don't want to disturb our neighbors, but I also totally agree. It helps with the compacting of the gravel and keeps it contained. So I do have some provisions and some ideas coming together to see what we can do to make that better and safe and efficient for that route to continue to be used.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you.
Anything else for Joel?
We do, just as a FYI, since we're talking about the buses, if you are a frequent walker on the property on that east side, we had talked about asphalting the road. Perhaps at one point, we're going to forego that for this year and continue the options and exploring what we're going to do about that. But we are going to be putting another layer of gravel on there. That's part of that communication to our neighbors, making sure they understand what we're doing and listening and hearing what their concerns are, of course. And one of the things that we're going to do to accommodate our ADA needs and our ability to move our special services buses to the east side is we're going to be putting in a 10x10 10x10 concrete pads, so that if you ever watch the ADA bus, they have a lift that comes down. We want that lift to come down on concrete so that a student never has to get onto the gravel. They would be on concrete and then they get on the sidewalk and then immediately into the building. So we have those in motion. That's project's going to start next week. So if you happen to be walking along the property, you see some concrete work, that's what you're noticing and that's what's happening. What's that?
So that's great to know. Thank you for letting us know that.
And we surely want our neighbors to know that's what we're doing out there. Who knows what they could think we're doing, but we want them to know exactly what we're doing out there. So
yeah, so the communication is already going to be going out by the end of this week to our neighbors regarding that piece, and then the fall part of the work.
So Julie already has her first project. Is that what I'm hearing?
I actually, yeah, no, she doesn't know this, but tonight I was working with Champions, our after school program, and we were talking about some information flow that needs to go out. And I went like, I know someone who can work on that and help and not have to be me. So anyway, I'm excited about that. And you're absolutely right. This is something that would be right into her ballpark.
Okay, any other technology or facilities stuff? All right, Mike, Super Mike. I'm going to call you Super Mike all year long now.
Thank you. First, I wanted to call in. I talked to Chanel and I wanted her to provide some highlights of the summer or where we're at up to this point since we left last June. And so she has a few items to cover in her report, but she didn't submit it, but I just wanted her to kind of provide some information for you all. So I'll hand it over to Chanel and then I'll take it from there.
Thanks, Mike. I wanted to share our office here at the district, AP, HR, finance world. We have been super busy this summer. We have not had a lot of downtime as we're wrapping up year end. That process has gone pretty smooth. I can't say that it totally scared me off for being my first time. We just started our interim audit a couple weeks ago. So that's been a big lift as we are working with our auditors and getting them reports and information. Let's see what else. We're kind of inundated in the summer enrichment program grants right now. We're trying to strategize and be creative so we can utilize those to their full capacity. We've also taken on bringing in a new system called School Pay for families to pay online their fees and other things. Vicki here at the office has taken the lead on that and she's done a great job. Our office staff are back in the office this week, so they're all getting their school set up and we'll be getting trained in the next couple weeks so that we can make it go live to our families. Let's see, HR has been busy with hiring. We have lots of new hires and we will continue to have new hires through August. So she's busy doing that as well as we get ready for open enrollment starting Monday. So that'll be a busy couple weeks for insurance for staff. And then let's see what other, I wanted to give a shout out to our food service team. They're wrapping up this week of doing summer meals and then they'll get a couple weeks off, but they've done a great job and they had some exciting news here at Crest Lane. Donna Tyler applied for a grant and was awarded $10,000 for 2 new ovens here in her kitchen, which were desperately needed. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, oh, my Forecast 5 is my data analysis finance system that I use, which is where I create my board reports. And we just got our 22 model finished today. So I will prepare you guys a board report with the graphs for next month.
Do you guys have any questions for Chanel? Okay. Just want to mention a few other things that are happening around the district are currently in motion. I'm going to, we've scheduled an admin retreat for next week. So we're going to get together as an A team and focus on creating a culture of welcoming, care and connection for our staff and also to welcome back our students and parents. Then we are also going to be working on our reopening school safety plan. That plan is taking the place of the operational blueprints that each school had to do last year. It's done from a district level now. So it's one plan, a district plan, and it includes all 3 buildings and their safety plans. So we're starting to pull that together. Julie and Chanel are working on that. Julie has been meeting. She's been in several meetings already with Lane ESD and also participating in some ODE webinars and some discussions and trainings there. And we'll continue on with that for the next couple of weeks. We just learned last week that this plan was going to be due here in August on the 23rd. Graciously, ODE postponed that due date until the 27th. So those plans need to be submitted to ODE by the 27th. Then we have a plan following that this safety plan relates to be able to have access to our ESSER 3 funds. That's what's being required by the federal government to access the ESSER 3 grant. So that's due in October. So we have 2 big, huge plans to submit back to back in, well, August and then by October. And Julie will be leading that. Chanel and Judy will be on the lead on those two plans. Transportation is looking to purchase a Type 10 van. We had discussions about, that's been kind of a discussion going on for a couple of years, but we wrapped that up at the end of last year in the spring. And so we've talked with Kendall, and we're looking for that van to come in. It provides more flexibility for our routes, and also in transporting students one at a time or two at a time, with our students that have those needs that do have to have transportation other than a school bus with other students. So, and also those are pickups and drop-offs from long distances outside the district that van will be used for. So we'll look forward to having that. That's coming out of our summer grant. Is that right, Chanel? And our summer grant, we've used that for just about everything we could attach to for our summer activities and summer school and whatever we can support our kids with. So, but that was one purchase that we put in there and it was approved. Crest Lane, the custodial team here, they have been just off the charts working tirelessly. Not only are they working throughout the building and preparing the building for opening day, but we've also brought in 200 new desks, and they've been the assembly line for it. So they've been assembling 200 new desks for our classrooms, and then also putting those out there and setting up the classrooms with them. Those were also purchased with ESSER funds. That's the federal relief funding, ESSER. So we were able to get those desks in. We needed single desks because we had tables and two students at a table. And that didn't provide social distancing, which is required, strongly recommended, of 3 feet. So we went to single desks, and we were digging them out of the warehouse last year to have enough desks when we returned students. And looking at our enrollment and students coming in person, we needed more desks. So we went out and purchased those 200 desks to be able to accommodate our enrollment and also meet the recommendations of the 3-foot distancing in the classrooms. Then we purchased also new playground equipment with our summer funds. That was allowable. So we purchased that, and we were able to install that equipment here at Crest Lane. And hey, it'll be here for the rest of eternity. So our kids will have more activity time out there and more equipment to play on. Let's see, at the middle school, we're, as Joel had mentioned, we're repairing the turf. The turf is in poor condition, to say the least. It's actually past its life expectancy. It's beyond the adequate repairs that it needs, and it's hazardous. But this is the best that we can do at this time. So we have, it's critical that we start to focus on maintaining that facility in the future. Well, we've been actually focused on it, but it's time to kind of pull the trigger and make it happen. But until we can, we have activities going on with our sports and our school sports programs and also community programs. And we just can't, that we have to have an operational field over there. So repairing it is the best that we can do with the time constraints that we have right now. So that's going on there. We're also working on repairs to the fields over at the high school, the football field, softball and baseball field. That those repairs should be, the football field's actually been upgraded. And the landscaper that performed that work is also going to continue with the maintenance of it through the fall, so that that field is acceptable, the condition of it. And so each week that landscaper will come out on the weekend and repair the field, mow the field, do whatever it needs, fill the gopher holes, the moles, or whatever it is we got out there in that underground, and then do the watering, which is critical over the weekend. During these months when we have no rains, that field gets rock hard. So we have to keep it watered all through the weekend on the weekends. And so they will be performing that for us. And they're also, well, we have several people coming out to look at the baseball and softball field, and we want to upgrade that to standard as well, for those fields as well. Let's see. And the high school success funds will help us with at high school at purchasing and installing new doc cams for teachers, computers and televisions for classrooms, so that they can work with the internet. Now that we're pretty much proficient with technology, we need to provide technology for our teachers to be able to utilize the skills that they've learned over the past 2 years. So bringing the equipment in is a big help there. And with those funds, we're also looking to build a fence around the greenhouse and the garden to create a secure classroom space out there, because it kind of stands outside of the building that's secured by the perimeter. That one building is lying out there on its own, and this fence will bring it all in to secure it with the campus or the courtyard there. And so those are kind of some of the things that are in action among the other things that you heard earlier through the reports and what you've read in the reports from each of the directors there. Any questions on that stuff?
I have one question.
Yes.
Technology question, sorry. I just remembered I was reading in the board report that we're hoping, if we're not already, one-to-one on kids to devices, which is awesome. What a huge step that we've come in that area. Is the intention or plan to continue to give assign those to kids at the beginning of the school year so they have devices to be using?
Yeah, in fact, we're going to start looking at a schedule where we can put those out there with our school supplies. So tomorrow we're meeting with the principals and starting to get a schedule or land on a schedule for different activities, the various activities that need to happen to start the school year. And that's one of the items that we'll be discussing, will be the device distribution. But yeah, we are one-to-one.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on those items? If not, in my superintendent's report, I listed activities that I've been involved in over the last, or since June, since our last board meeting. Did any of you have any questions about those activities there that I've listed? The LCC Advanced Technology Center, that's a committee that I've joined in LCC, and that's looking at the CTE and having a technology hub out there on the LCC campus. And I've talked to you last year a little bit about this committee, but this is my attempt to build community with the post-secondary institutions, and mainly focusing on LCC and how we can connect to LCC to provide more opportunities for our kids to get into those career programs. In looking at that, one of the subjects, or what I'm interested in there, is how can we provide a sub-hub out here in Creswell for this east side, southeast side of Eugene and Springfield. So for all the rural districts out here, how can we provide a connection or access to those programs in LCC in a facility here? They have a $35 million grant that they've been awarded for the design of this hub at LCC. And if we can link to them and create a situation where we have a sub-hub, then I'm looking for an opportunity to get some resources there to be able to do that work. I just wanted to point that out. Other than that, do you have any questions on that list of activities there? Yes.
On the LCC hub that you were just talking about, what kind of a time frame is your vision? Will that take several years to implement, or is that a pretty fast moving kind of idea?
So they have the design. This is a national firm that is putting together this design. LCC submitted an application for this grant. It went into a national grant, and this firm is facilitating all of those the development or design of those CTE facilities for all these community colleges across the country. And LCC was awarded the $35 million. So the design work is happening this year. Then next year, the construction work begins for that hub at LCC. So that's pretty quick in the world of construction for a facility that big. I'll have more information and provide reports to you. I have monthly meetings on that committee or with that committee. So I'll have more information about that in September.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions there on those? On my report, I had 2 items there: summer learning program update and return to school update. On the summer learning program update, you heard some information that was being put out there that Julie was discussing a little earlier about her work in when she introduced herself with the summer program. And to be honest with you, Julie, Amy, and Jenny, along with Chanel, would be able to provide you a comprehensive report on the summer learning program. But my summary is that it's been a huge success for the kids that have attended it through the terms. I mean, I see them every day over here. Julie sees them every day over at the middle school, and Jenny and Brandon are working with them at the high school. So I think I just invite those folks and Chanel to kind of speak up about the summer learning program and just, maybe give you a minute update on what's happening there. Julie, you want to take the lead?
Sure. So fabulous things happened on campus and off campus. And I should also shout out to the transportation department, because every time I called them saying, I have this idea, Sarah and the drivers made it happen. We had kids going to the pool to learn how to swim. We had kids going to the blueberry farm and then coming back and doing math and cooking. This week we have 20 kids in Eugene every day being bused from Creswell to go to the Spark Lab, where they're doing hands-on. Today they did 3D printing. They've been doing graphic design. We also have our Champions program happening today. Kids were working on robotics. We had walking field trips. We did some local history. It's just been really amazing. And I feel very blessed, both as a principal, but also as a parent of a student who's been able to attend. And I've actually had some really neat phone calls and emails from parents district-wide who have said, I will tell you what, my kid was not happy when I told them they were going to summer school. And now every day they're excited out the door. And I'm wondering, where are they going? What are they doing? And they're just loving everything that's happening district-wide. And the high school workers did a really great job. They were professional and helping middle school students. I can speak to that. The elementary office staff, as well as the classroom helpers, were great. So overall, I've been on the teaching side and the parent side of summer school, as well as an admin, but I will say what we were able to offer kids through our summer enrichment program was more than I've seen any place that I've been at. So great job to everybody who was a part of that.
Amy, Hallie?
Yeah, I was actually hoping to highlight some of this in our next board report, and I'll continue to gather more information. But at the elementary school, we ran kind of more of a traditional school setting. So we did 4 different classrooms. during our 3 sessions. We had an incoming first grade session, incoming second, incoming third, and then we combined our 4th and 5th graders because our enrollment in those grades were a little low. And I think the staff had a really great time planning it. They did some themed weeks. So they did like a camping week and they did a beach week, and they just sort of created thematic units around that. And my biggest thing I told them is I want the kids writing every day. I want them reading and doing math every day, but I also want you to make it fun and engaging. So there was like, the teachers sort of divided and conquered and created fun science activities and went outside and did some fun things on campus. But some fun highlights from the elementary school is we had a lot of our primary kids who really just did, they did not do very well with online learning. They were engaged maybe just a little bit. And one of our kiddos who came to the incoming first grade group only knew on the very first day the teacher was doing some assessments, only knew 7 or so sounds. And by the end of the 3 summer school sessions was already reading CVC words. So had made huge growth over summer school. So I'm excited this next year to sort of track their data separately from the rest of the group as well, just to see how much that helped them in their next year's learning. And I'm sure there's other stories as well. The teachers were really excited about the growth kids made. And again, the high school helpers, it was really fun to have them there. I think the younger kids really loved having them there as well.
So for the board, as you may recall, we hired high school students to come in and assist with our summer school program. They're also assisting with champions. And I don't know, what was the total number that we came up with of our high school kids that we employed this summer?
We have about 20. Oh, sorry, Jenny.
So we've hired 20 high school kids and put them to work in school environments for the summer, which is to me awesome. I've talked to them, a few of them here working over here in Crest Lane, and they just are so excited. I mean, the pride that they show from being able to be here and actually working with kids is really touching. They have good stories to tell themselves. They'll never forget the experience of working in summer school. I can tell you that. Jenny, what's up with you?
Well, nothing. I'm just over here hanging out in my office. But for summer school, so yeah, 20 high school students applied. It was great because they had to submit letters of intent. They had to submit resumes. They did, sort of an interview to be a part of that. We had 2 that were actually hired through Champions, and that was they did their interviewing and they had to go through their process. So a lot of really good skills came out of that besides just being a part of the team. So that's exciting. So in addition to working, they will get work experience credit towards their high school diploma as well. So that's really cool for those students. 100, I don't know, what did I do with it? I have it right here because I was just counting since I also did not have that data ready. 180 hours, they get 0.5 credits, and then 90 hours per term, they get 0.25 credits. And so that's basically a class period per semester would get them the 0.5 credits. And so in addition to that, and I was just counting, hopefully I counted right. I don't know why I do this to myself. I make really small Excel spreadsheets so that I can see them all on one page. But then I can't actually see them because it turns out I need readers. So I think I counted 24 students participated in our summer school. We had some that participated in all 3 sessions, some that participated in 1 session or 2 sessions. And I say 24 because we started with a certain number, but then actually as kids kind of heard about it, more added throughout the summer. So I want to make sure that I get all of those that were added. But some of those students earned multiple credits. One student was able to kind of play catch up, and 1, 2, earned at least 3 credits this summer to kind of help move him along his track towards graduation. So some students participated in a credit recovery option, and then some students also earned credit by participating in physics, earth science, chemistry, combustion. Yep, we let kids blow things up here. No, it was just talking about combustion and what that looks like. Environmental science, acids and bases. Did fun things like they made soap, they made bath bombs, they built cars that they then remotely drove, and they had to drive remotely. They worked them remotely and they created them themselves. I can't think of a verb to put there. It's great. And then one thing I was thinking about with the summer employment, and then in talking to an employer in the area yesterday, is it would be really fun to get together a job fair for our kids, a summer job fair, and kind of have them go through that and listen to the employers and what they need and how they can get involved with the different employment options we have here in the area for next year. So, and how we can work, maybe work that into a track that they're interested in, and they can earn credit. So there we go.
Thanks. Amy Aguero and Chanel, do you have anything that you want to add?
I would just add real quick, we, in addition to these wonderful programs, K-12, we had our KITS program running, which it's been 8 weeks. It's still running for the next couple. Kids in Transition, which this is for our kiddos that are entering kindergarten, so getting them prepped for school. And then additionally, we had Extended School Year, which was primarily attended by our life skills students. So both programs running to support the specific needs of those ages, as well as skills for our elementary and middle school age students.
So with our kids program, how many kids do we have in there that are participating? Do you have a ballpark?
Give or take, we have 2 sessions running, so 2 2-hour sessions during the day. So we have a 9 to 11 and a 1 to 3 program running, and give or take, depending on who attends that day, we're running about on average 13 students in each session.
Great. Thank you. Okay, any questions on the summer program, summer learning program? Chanel, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Other than my highlight would be from the finance world, that I think it was pretty cool that we were able to offer this free to all families. There was no cost to anyone for all of the fun experiences the kids are getting to have. And then the extended daycare that we're running through the end of summer is free to families as well. So the grant made it all possible.
So for what she's saying about the extended day is that Champions is providing childcare after summer school throughout the week. So we really tried to cover the entire day for parents if they needed that option during the summer for the kids. And also, it's what's best for kids. Any questions on the board?
But I just want to say, great job. I mean, like the amount of work you guys put into this is amazing, especially seeing as how you just went through a school year that was a lot of work too. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll say as a parent of a middle schooler that was enjoying his summer enrichment, he loved going every single day. I think the teachers that put together those sessions, you could tell that the teachers were really having fun teaching a topic that was not like the hardcore math or writing. I mean, they loved all the different stuff that they were doing, so much so that the kids knew that, like, oh, the teachers are enjoying this as much as the kids. So I think seeing the teacher enthusiasm was awesome, and every single one of them is fantastic. I really think we should figure out how to do this every summer, some portion of it. I don't know if those are bad looks from the principals I just got. A couple of you raised your head, so I'm not sure what that meant, but as a parent, I love it.
Well, I will say, even at the elementary school, the teachers, like the last couple of weeks, we're already like talking about what we'll do next time to make it better. And I'm like, I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future, but I like what you're thinking. So they're already like thinking about what they would, we learned a lot because like with everything we did this year with COVID, we learned as we went, and it was a really good learning experience for us as well. But the teachers were excited too.
Well, I just want to let the board know that this team worked really hard to do this. They worked extremely hard last year to pull off a school year that was near impossible against all the odds and barriers and challenges. They pulled it off. Hearing from you that you appreciate them means a lot. I mean, in the end, they're here for the kids, but knowing that they're being recognized by you is really important.
Right.
So, any more on that from anyone? I don't want to cut anyone off if they had anything else to say.
I just had a funny, one of the students who was helping with the Champions program, I ran into them outside of the school, and she looked at me and said, "Miss Jenny, it's a lot different when the shoe's on the other foot."
Life can happen quick to kids, can't it?
We had a high schooler who was helping in one of the programs at the middle school, and she came in and she's like, "I don't know how you guys do this every day." And I thought, "Oh, honey, this is summer enrichment for a couple hours, but bless your heart. Thank you." Go home and tell your mom and dad and everyone else who's ever helped you that you appreciate them.
Yeah, summer jobs are so good for so many reasons. Like one of the best ways we could prepare kids for life. All right, Mike, did you want to go over the COSA attachment?
The return to school update, I provided the PowerPoint for you that COSA had set up. And that was one PowerPoint that was presented to me or to superintendents across the state. Since the governor's announcement, we've had several different meetings. Superintendents have, I have, nearly daily and pretty much all day. So to date, I've met with ODE several days. The Oregon Health Authority, again, several days, several times a day. Calling us out to meet with them to go over more procedures and things of that nature, and more compliance policies, that kind of stuff. The Oregon School Boards Association coming on board to help translate those policies to us and what we're required to do. PACE legal guidance and advisory on where we stand legally with the masking mandate in particular. Lane County Public Health Authority, which is our partner in local decision-making, and I've met with them a couple times. I've been involved in statewide superintendent meetings every other day for the last couple of weeks, and then with Lane County superintendents, I don't know, 3 days, 2 days this week, 3 days, and then last week as well. So we're all trying to, and this is typical of processing the order from the governor, any order from the governor. This is what we go through as a superintendent for 2 weeks. I mean, it's just on the job, it's on the fly training in response to an order that's come out. And most of those orders that come out are without any forewarning. And this PowerPoint, this slide deck that you're looking at, was the second presentation from ODE on processing that direction from the governor and explaining to us how this directive from her to OHA became rule, which is law, which then is rolled out to ODE and then developed into policy to us. So it really is a law that's driven by the health authority, this mask wearing or required mask wearing in schools. And then most recently, the governor's come out with an order where masks are required indoors across the state. And so in looking at that slide deck, I really wanted to talk to you about pages 9 through 12. And in that, it's the OAR 333-019-1015. And in that OAR, Oregon Administrative Rule, which is a law, when it's an OAR, it's become law, that the Oregon Health Authority has the authority to adopt rules to prescribe measures and methods for controlling reportable diseases, including COVID-19. Children are required to attend school, which is a conglomerate setting where COVID-19 can spread easily if precautions are not taken. Two of the most important tools the state has to control COVID-19 are vaccination and masking. And with our children under 12 not being eligible for a vaccine, they're vulnerable. And we've seen, they've been reporting out the increase in cases from pediatrics of kids in these younger ages that are infected or positive cases and are in hospitals now. So without the vaccine, we have what's left is social distancing, sanitizing, and hand washing, and from their perspective, masks. And what we've been told from their perspective, the health authority, is that the vaccination and masking are the two things that we have that we can control, or that they can control to help prevent the spread of the virus. So in order to protect the students underage who are required by compulsory attendance to attend school, they've implemented this law of mandatory masks for all students K-12, because there is a low percentage of any student age group that is vaccinated. That's their report, that's their data, that's what they inform us of. We were explained under that OAR that schools must ensure that all individuals, including but not limited to staff, students, contractors, and visitors, wear a mask, except with the exceptions of during, that they must wear them in school hours, with the exception of when they're eating and or if they have a medical condition that prevents that from happening, or it's identified in their IDEA plan, special education IEP. You've all heard about this. This is, you've read through this slide deck, which is explaining the rule, the law from the Oregon Health Authority, and that they're mandating. I have a more recent slide deck with some information that I want to provide for you. Chanel, will you load that up, please? So the other day, Tuesday, we were in another meeting with ODE, OHA, OSBA, legal attorneys, and superintendents, all superintendents across the state. This is what was presented to us from the Teacher Standards and Practices Commission and the director of TSPC. And what he's explaining in this here, that the state action would be if we violate this, if we don't follow this mandate, then these are the consequences, potentially. And what they're saying here is that we could lose our license or have our license suspended. And as a superintendent, I could be personally liable for civil damages. So if I do not comply with the law, in other words, and I expect myself to follow all federal and state laws, this is such. But my license also holds me to high standards and expectations, and that standard is to follow laws. And especially from the health authority for the health of our community. The health of our state and our community. So that's what happens from that one agency if myself or a principal or a teacher are out of compliance with the law of requiring masks in schools. This particular one here is handed to us from the Oregon Health Authority. I need to. So their expectation is listed there under the 333-019-1015. And their enforcement is explained here. That they will also access OSHA, Oregon OSHA, to enforce this law. So what that brings in is another agency that with their enforcement, they can fine the institutions that are not complying with that law, willfully not complying. And in that, you'll see here in the next slide where the fees come in. So complaints will go to OSHA. OSHA will investigate. If a parent or a teacher observes that the law is not being enforced by another teacher or the school or the principal or whoever, and reports that to OHA, ODE, Lane County Public Health, or the principal, then OSHA will be notified. OSHA has already set up its mechanism to investigate and enforce and fine. So OSHA can come out and their fines are $100 to $2,600. That's beginning. But when they look at the size of an organization like a school district, the fines actually start at $8,900 and go up to $126,000, depending on how unwillful the institution was, the building or the district, to follow or comply with that law. Was it something that was ignored daily and was allowed to happen? Did the district willfully disregard the law and move on without requiring students to wear masks, students and staff to wear masks in school to make it safe for kids in the community? And then, well, go back to that, Chanel, please. So when we're looking at that, there's a daily penalty that's also involved in that citation that they can add to that. And that's $100 at a minimum and $2,600 maximum. That's on a daily occurrence for a citation. So when they investigate, they can levy fines on 3 levels, 2 that are outlined there, and anywhere within those. Okay, now, if you will, go to the next slide. So OHA is another agency that will be enforcing this law. And they'll act on the investigation and findings from OSHA. And when if it's determined in there that the district was out of compliance, then they will find the district and each building up to $500 per day for violating that law. Now, here's where the civil penalties add up, are applied. If that's my direction that we're not going to follow that mandate, that law, then the civil penalties are applied to me. If it's the school board that determines that the district's not going to follow that law, then it will be applied to each school board member that voted in favor of willfully violating a law, this health law. And if it gets to the principal and the principal isn't enforcing it, or is avoiding it or ignoring it, or is in non-compliance in some way or manner, then the civil penalties will hit that principal. If the principal is enforcing it and the teacher is not, then it's the teacher's license, it's the penalties to the district for not ensuring that there's compliance in the district, and then the civil penalties can be applied to the teacher if that's determined the outcome to be the outcome. So next slide. Is there another one?
That's it.
Awesome. Good. That's all the bad news. It's not to sit in meeting after meeting with superintendents across the state and hear these actions being presented to us is really, really difficult to hear. That, you know, this is directed, this is mandated, this is a law, and you're accountable. And these are the ways that we're going to enforce it. So be forewarned that that's how we'll act with it. And it's presented very strongly to us that this is what we mean to do. They mean to do, the agencies. So there we are. Any questions on any of that information? And this has nothing to do with my beliefs or me deciding who's right, who's wrong, what's going. Really, it is there. We have a responsibility for the financial stability of the district, and furthermore, as government bodies, to comply with federal and state laws. And you know, there's not a thing of where, well, we're just not going to do it. We'll see what happens. I mean, $126,500 a day, up to $126,500 a day, up to $1,200 a day, up to $2,600 a day. I mean, what, you know,
It's not worth it.
where are you going to put your risks on, you know, and well, you know, they're coming at us, that all of the constituents in this state saying this virus has got to be stopped, and we've got to do the best we can to prevent people from dying from it. And at the heart of it, when they're pointing at us, they're saying, you need to make it safe for our kids. And I am not a medical expert. I do not get the data from them on the virus, the vaccines, or any of that stuff. And really, when it gets down to it, and the state mandates it with a law behind it, you know, where do you position yourself? On the side of the law, or are you going to willfully violate the laws? I haven't done that. I have my own beliefs, but my position is to make it safe for the kids. They're telling me this is what's safe for kids. keep the district in a secure position. They're telling me if I don't do what they feel is safe for the kids, then I risk the security, the financial stability of the district, and possibly the licenses of my staff. Certainly would lose my home if it were a civil penalty coming my way. And that's my update on reopening. So we're preparing for a full schedule, all students in person, and getting on with what we do best, what we're trained to do, and that's teaching and learning. That's our position. I believe that's what we're here to do. And we need to know that I'm frustrated with the virus, with all of the protocols, with masking, with what have you. It's been a long time. It's a tough situation, but it isn't over. Not by a long shot. And from what I'm hearing on the data today on positive cases in Lane County and across the state, we have set records daily on case counts and the spread of the virus beyond anything we've experienced since the beginning of this pandemic. I'm not going to argue with medical experts and the OHA and everybody else that is, they're the professionals in that field. I love kids and I know education. That's my thing. But this is affecting our kids in more ways than every way. And I can't get distracted from doing what we're here to do for them.
Thanks, Mike, for walking us through all of that. I know it feels both frustrating and a little depressing when we start talking about the lack of local control, because through the summer the language was ramping up the other way, more local control. And that was optimistic and positive to me. But I do think it's really important for us to understand the consequences and the penalties that come with not following the mask mandate, because I know individually we can end up in situations or get asked by individuals, why aren't we forcing the school district to do something different? Why aren't we asking for a vote to do something different? And I think it's important for us to have the information so that we can tell folks that question us, this is why we're going to be following the mask mandate.
Well, we were told pointedly, meeting after meeting, that there is no discretionary judgment in this mandate. None. And here's what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do to make sure that there's no discretionary judgment. And that's when they've laid out the penalties and the fees. I've never heard anything like that in my entire career. I've been doing this a long time, been in a lot of situations, and I haven't experienced that ever in this education. And I get it. The message, I received it. And I tried to explain it to the community as best I could. But it's getting a little more firepower behind it from the agencies that are enforcing it. And they want to make it clear that we understand what we're facing here. So anyway, any questions from anybody on this stuff?
I'm grateful every day that all of you are still there and that we are still hearing the message that our kids are going to be in person. I do have a little bit of anxiety from a year ago where it's like, nope, let's all go digital. So the fact that we are still hearing the message, our kids are going to be masked, means they're going to be in person. So I'll take that over last year for sure.
Two things on my mind that keep me awake at night right now are the spread of the virus and how it's going to impact our kids and our community. I know there are several cases out there in the last 2 weeks in Creswell that have been communicated to me from Lane County Public Health. And it's pretty scary on what's going on locally and in Lane County. So the spread of the virus is one, and the air quality getting up to 800 again. You know, both things we faced last Labor Day weekend a year ago. And, you know, it's, can't shut my mind off because it's here, both of them. And so hindsight, I'll tell you what, I've learned a lot since last Labor Day. And so has this team up here on the board, so have you, the school board. So we won't be caught unprepared. We owe our kids better than that.
Okay, any other comments or questions for Mike? All right, I think we are ready to adjourn then. We will see everybody in a month. Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.